Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Hello, welcome to the Actors Area. I'm your host, Sean Robert Grant. Happy Saturday. It's Saturday where I'm at, and I'm thrilled to be coming to you live on the airwaves on this beautiful Saturday from South Florida. Anyway, hope you guys are fantastic in every sense of the word. Sending you good vibes. Hope you had a busy week full of a lot of things booked as an actor. I don't know if you're non-union, if you're SAG-AFTRA, whatever it is. I see more and more SAG-AFTRA projects that are being approved and green-lighted or greenlit to go into production. So, I mean, that's good news in a sense that, you know, there's not everybody's missing out on work, but there's some people out there that are still able to work, which is really good because that's what we want at the end of the day. But ultimately, it just comes down to confidence, and we're going to talk about that today. And the confidence to have unshakable confidence, and I want to really explain that. But to have unshakable confidence in the midst of every situational circumstance within your career. So before we get going with that, guys, let's run over a few things here, or just one thing, basically. Thank you in advance to all of my listeners. I'm just absolutely so filled with gratitude and appreciation that we are live and airing around the world. We just got on to Amazon Music. We just hit the airways in India. So, you know, we were already in places like South Africa and in Asia and in Thailand and all these places. Well, Thailand is Asia, I guess. But we were all over the world, and it's just continuing to grow, and you guys are responding with your downloads and listening in. So I just want to thank you for that. And secondly, if you have any questions, anything I can answer you, help you with, please, by all means, write to me at seanG04@gmail.com, and I will reach out to you as soon as I can. So thank you in advance for that and for everything, all your support. It is gratefully appreciated. And let's get into today's message, okay? Having unshakable confidence as an actor or performer. And so let me clarify something real quick. Confidence does not mean that you don't get nervous or you don't get fearful of certain things, or you don't experience, you know, where you feel a sense of uneasiness. Confidence is all about facing that stuff and rising above it and having the courage to continue to charge forward with you, whatever your objective is. You know what I'm saying? So I needed to clarify that because sometimes it's easily to get confused about what confidence actually is. And you know, that confusion I feel needed to be clarified because, you know, you all of a sudden find people trying to achieve something that is just impossible to achieve. I mean, I think honestly, if you don't feel some anxiety, some fear, you know, some uncertainty at some point, you're just not human. And although we're spiritual beings having a human experience, I think it's important that we also feel everything we need to feel here in order to help us to be the best. And I'm just going to straight up tell you, it's at the end of the day, confidence is just about knowing who you are within, knowing your gifts, knowing where you excel, knowing what you bring to the table, and understanding that nothing can shake that whatsoever. And I promise you, you keep that attitude, you keep that at the forefront of everything going on, no matter what's going on, guys, gals, you're going to succeed. Okay, so let's talk about how we get to this point. So, and I love to add in examples because examples really help us to sort of see get a clear visual on how this stuff can operate in the world today. as an entertainer, performer, or actor, whatever it is that you find yourself in. And it's really important to really help you to see a visual, to have the imagery that can help you to implement it into your own life. So like we just talked about, and we've been talking about the last couple of episodes, there is an actor strike going on, a writer strike going on as well. And so that's knocking down the possibility of work for everybody. Now, one or two things are going to happen, right? If you listen to the past podcasts I had, you hear me talk about you're going to step up to the plate and see this as an opportunity to be creative in other ways, right? I already know some actors and performers are writing scripts as we speak to be able to, once everything gets back in, they can bring that to the table. I think that's a remarkable idea, but you know what? It has to be in resonance with what you feel you are and where your talents are. Like, you don't, like I would not recommend doing anything you don't have a strong talent with as an actor performer, because the reality is, why put yourself on blast with something that you can't do? Now, some people are doing writing. Some people are finding ways to act. Like, I've created my own little skits and stuff just to keep my instrument strong. But in saying all that, there's some of you out there that are probably thinking like, well, I'd love to do that, but I just don't know where to start, right? And that's an honest answer. But here's what confidence does. Here's what unshakable confidence does. You know what? I don't know where to start, but you know what? I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to find out one way or another, even if I have to reach out to my network, whether it's a Facebook group, people I've worked with in the past, people I look up to, people I mentor, people I don't even know. I can send them an Instagram message. They may not respond, but guess what? Hey, you never know. I wrote for Backstage for 3 or 4 years, and I would get messages all the time from individuals looking to get answers to questions that they had. And these people were not hesitant at all to reach out to me. And I thought it was the most amazing thing, because it's like, if you have the confidence to reach out to a stranger, like, you're going to succeed. One of those strangers are going to be somebody that can either give you some type of information or help you out in some type of way to lead your career along. So the reality there is, let's just move past the fear of looking silly or of being rejected by not having people respond. Like, I messaged a director the other day who, and I mean, she's doing Jack Ryan and some other things. And, you know, who knows, maybe she's busy, but she never responded. And for me, that's okay, because here's the thing. My confidence is so strong. There's not one person in the industry that determines whether or not I succeed or don't succeed. I succeed based on my own beliefs, based on my own mindset, based on my own confidence. So I'm not going into it thinking that if I don't get this, I'm losing something. And that's a point I want to make right now. You can't lose anything. You live in a universe that has resources filled with abundance. And this is a spiritual concept. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm not urging you to get into spirituality, but if you don't have some type of spirituality following the career as an actor or performer, you might want to dive into something, because it's going to help you. And it's going to help strengthen you in the areas where it matters most. Just kind of throwing that tidbit in there. But ultimately, the reality of it all comes back to us, okay? Comes back to us understanding that, what is it going to take to be confident enough in myself where I can take the steps that my intuition leads me to, that my inner guide, that my inner feeling leads me towards? What is it going to take in that regard for me to do that? And so whenever I need to start with confidence, whenever I need something with confidence, I've got to build it within myself first, right? I got to build it within myself first. And so how do I do that? I take a look at the experience that I've had doing something, right? So I've been in the acting industry, will be a total of 16 years come December. It was in December 2007 I actually started acting. It might have been even earlier than that, but it was off and on between 04 and 07. But I've been in it a long time. And I've worked with some of the greatest Hollywood stars, and I worked with some of the baddest Hollywood stars in a sense. And no matter what, I always found myself succeeding throughout those experiences. And what happens is, and if you have the luxury of time, see, I actually had the luxury of time to build confidence through everything that I was going through. Because once you do one production after the other, you tend to build confidence in what you're doing, right? And then sometimes that gets a bit shaken if you take some time off or you don't book for a while. But ultimately, when you're in a position where you're doing it on a regular basis, you get a whole lot of confidence, right? And it's so much so that you're just not even shaken. You're at peace. You're doing your thing. And but in order to get to that point where you just don't need the time, you can just step on set today or tomorrow and just flat out be as confident, as supremely confident as you want to be. Here's the number one thing you have to do. Okay. Actually, there's a couple things, but I'm going to give you what I feel like you got to do. You got to let go of the need to get the approval of your peers and the people who have hired you, right? I'll tell you from experience, I used to go on set and what I wanted more so than anything else was somebody on set to tell me I was doing a good job. And when I got it, it was fine. When I didn't get it, it was absolute torture because I got all in my head. And then I was just like, oh God, like, what did I do it right? Was I good enough? Like, here's the thing. You know you're good enough because they hired you. That's already done and that's sealed the deal, right? They hired you. You know, you're already good enough. There's nothing else you need to be concerned or worried about. You're good. You got hired to do this. Second thing is, you're a professional. They're actually, in most cases, paying you to reenact or to act out a character that they feel you are perfect for. That's even more confidence, right? So you take these things into it. And then you say to yourself, you know what? As long as I feel good within about my performance, I can have all the confidence in the world, right? And if the director needs me to change something, guess what? He'll pull me aside. She'll pull me aside and tell me, you need to mix this up, do this, do this. Could you do it differently this way? Other than that, I show up, I do my thing. Nobody tells me anything. I feel confident within. I go about my business, pick up my check, or wait for it to be mailed, whatever it is, and it's a done deal, right? And that confidence continues to brew. Like I said, the hardest part about confidence is when it's based on something outside of you, right? When it's based on something or someone outside of you, you'll never get it. You'll never get it strong enough to where you are just able to walk into any room and command it, right? That's what we want. We want to be able to be so sure of ourselves. And I'm going to tell you, who has this like in droves? And, maybe if you don't follow football, you might not know him, but Tom Brady. Tom Brady is a perfect example of someone who just has such a strong, innate level of confidence that it does not matter what anybody says about him. It does not matter what anybody does. It doesn't matter when people try to get into his head. Here's the thing. You can't, if you've ever watched the 22 years Tom Brady was playing football, you couldn't get into his head, right? His self-confidence was so strong and so unshakable. Yeah, he'd have bad games, but he'd never let it get to him and say, oh, well, I suck, I'm this, I'm that. No, he never let the outside circumstance affect his performance, right? And you, as an actor, as a performer, I'm not just even talking about on set. I'm talking about when you do everything, like when you go to auditions, when you go to meetings, when you're out networking, when you're discussing, when you're having emails with people. don't be afraid to let that confidence out and to speak your mind. So many actors I've known have been afraid of like stepping on toes, but I'm gonna tell you something. No one person can control whether or not you succeed, right? So if somebody disrespects you, you put them in their place, right? That's what you got to do. Doesn't matter who they are. Don't allow yourself to take that stuff just because you think, it might hurt your chances in the industry. This is just definitely not the case, right? You got to step up and understand that true unshakable confidence comes from within, comes from knowing that no matter what, who I have to answer to? I have to answer to myself. And as long as I'm okay and at peace with that, without the need of anyone or anything else, I'm right where I need to be. Okay? And so secondly, in building unshakable confidence, let me get a sip of water here real quick, guys. Mouth running 100 miles an hour. Oh, much better. Second thing here, in building unshakable confidence as an actor and performer. Don't be afraid to mess up. As a matter of fact, feel good. Feel excited about the chance that you could mess up. Because here's what happens. Nobody's perfect, right? Nobody's perfect. It's how you bounce back from those opportunities when you mess up to get back on track. That determines how confident you are, right? So my own personal story, I had the impossible goal at times, and somehow or another, I did it and was successful for a long time, but then I realized this is way too much effing pressure, man. But I used to want to go on set and be perfect with my lines all of the time. Like straight up perfect, no mistakes, no nothing. And for a while, when I tell you I accomplished it, it blew me away because the amount of relief I would feel afterwards was just like, oh my God, are you serious, right? But then I reached a point in my career where I would start to mess up and I would start to flub and flip and spit out lines that were just completely not right and do it multiple times in a row. And when I tell you, I would be so hard on myself that it would shake my confidence to the point where I would be like, yo, director, I need like 5 minutes to kind of bring myself back. Like I need a timeout. And so, after those productions, I sort of realized, I'm like, you know what, this can't work. Like I can't be on a big production that is really predicated on the amount of time it has to shoot in a day and tell them that I need some time to really work this out. No. I got with myself and I said, okay, what am I really afraid of? And the reality was I was afraid of not being perfect. Like somebody would chastise me for not being perfect. And the reality is no human being is perfect. No matter who you are, no matter how much money you make, no matter how big or famous you are, you're not perfect. Nobody's perfect, right? So stop trying to be. And I just by telling myself, stop trying to be perfect, and I let go. I let myself not be perfect. I get on to the next set that I was doing a short time later. And the very first time I completely messed up the line and I just started laughing and everybody had a good laugh. And I tell you, it broke so much tension. And I told myself, I just kept telling myself, you know what? You got this. That happens. Let it happen. Get the rust off of you and then just continue to perform. And turns out it was absolutely on fire, on point from that point on, basically. Like it just flowed. Because I wasn't in my head anymore, right? And so, trust me, I understand how hard that can be sometimes when you're just in your head and you're running an affirmation, you're running an intention that's really kind of taking you down. And that's what I had did for so long is that I got to be perfect, got to be perfect, got to be perfect. And then I just will do the opposite because it's just way too much pressure. Now, that piggybacks on the next thing that you have to do in order to have unshakable confidence. You got to have a healthy, positive, I want to say not even positive, but optimistic self-talk, right? And I don't know if that's a certain saying, if that's a certain scripture, if you're spiritual, if that's a certain type of affirmation that you tell yourself, but it has to, I promise you, it has to pick you up. It has to level you up to a space that allows you to be your best in every situation, right? So once again, personal story, I'm shooting this recent, like literally this SAG film right before, a day before the strike starts. And the very last scene of the day was the longest dialogue that I had had in years as an actor. And I mean, it was long. And we went through every single thing. And I don't know if it was purposely done or what, but the very last bit of dialogue was the longest amount of dialogue. And let me tell you, we had went through a shooting day where we shot so many different takes. And in a way, my brain was a little bit fried, but I was still good. And the reality is, the first 3 times we shot it, I messed every single one up. Like I would either get really close or just mess it up completely. And then I thought about, once again, okay, I'm not trying to please anybody else. I'm doing my thing, and then I got to my affirmation, my intention that I keep with me as I just say to myself, I'm a confident actor who can do the impossible. Or I said, I'm a confident actor who can do all things asked of me, right? I'm a confident actor who can do all things asked of me. And you can even add to it, I'm a supremely confident actor who can do all things asked of me. And I got this clarity of mind. And then the next 3 takes were absolutely perfect. End of the day on a high note, still had my confidence, still was feeling like a success, still was feeling like, you know what, I love doing this. I'm up for the challenge anytime it comes. I say that to say it was light years different than where I was early on in my career. And it was something that was it was magnificent for me because it showed me that no matter what happened, no matter what was thrown my way, I could climb over that barrier, right? I can overcome that barrier and then show up like the superstar that I know that I am within myself and just knock it out of the park. And you have that same ability. All it comes down to is making sure that the mind, the mental aspect, the mindset is set up to help you throughout these situations. And so we talked a lot about actually what happens on set. This goes for what happens like off set. Like, if you feel like you're not getting any roles or you feel like your agent is not just doing it for you, don't hesitate to call them up. Be like, yo, is there anything going? Like, are you sending stuff my way? What is the deal? What's going on? Like and if it's not a fit for you, find the next one or do it yourself. Become your own agent. At the end of the day, we are in charge of our own careers for ourselves. And when we take that responsibility, and this is the last thing I'm going to tell you on how to build unshakable confidence. When we take that responsibility that we are in charge of our own success, we are in charge of our own fulfillment, we are in charge of our own progress as an actor and performer, that is one of the most powerful things you can do to add confidence into not just your career as an actor, but your life, right? When you take full responsibility, that is when everything changes. So don't rely on the agent. Don't rely on the casting directors. Don't rely on the producers or directors. You take responsibility for succeeding. You take responsibility for being unshakably confident. And you do whatever you got to do to build to get to that point. I gave you some tidbits and some pointers, but everybody's different. Find the things that help you to get to that place. And I promise you, your career is going to progress and you're going to be fulfilled and you're going to experience success even during the times of like the strike right now. You're still going to succeed because your mind's set up to succeed when it's set up to be unshakably confident. So make this a priority without a shadow of a doubt, and you will benefit from it greatly. Guys and gals, thank you so much. That's our show for today. We appreciate you joining me. If you have any questions, please write to me at ShaunG04@gmail.com, ShaungG04@gmail.com, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Other than that, thank you for your time once again, your listening, your support, everything, everybody from all around the world. Have a wonderful day, night, afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. Thank you so much. Appreciate you greatly, and we will talk soon. Take care. Bye-bye.